everybody, welcome to some yoga. You will need a strap and possibly a block or towel, anything to support the head or the hips. This kind of band is good, anything that you can use it to hold onto the leg or to create that tension into the leg. So starting off lying down on the back, using the mat to help realign the spine. The back of the head, the back of the shoulders, the back of the hips are resting on the ground, letting the legs extend away. Thighs and knees, shins, feet to flop out and relax. The arms are doing the same, letting the shoulders roll out to the front of the chest open, palms are turned to face up and towards the ceiling, encouraging the front of the body to relax. If you find that with your legs extended, the back doesn't feel right, it feels a bit tender, it feels a bit sore, then do feel free to bend the knees or finding a more comfortable position for the back and the hips. As you feel that the body is a little bit more settled there, notice the breath. If you feel that the breath is up into the chest, so you're into the almost like panic breath or that rushed breath, see if you can encourage the breath and the body to calm down. Encouraging a nicer, deeper belly breath, feeling the belly raising with the inhalation, falling with the exhalation. Softening the front of the throat, relaxing the back of the neck, collarbones, front of the chest. So see if you can try and soften through the all of the top of the body. There's no movement into the chest, everything is just happening down here into the belly. As you feel the breath, it feels a little bit more relaxed, that the body feels a little bit more settled, then focusing on the legs. Curling both knees into the chest, rocking the legs forward and back a few times to see if you can stretch the lower back down the mat. Then once you feel that the back is nice and stretched, nice and long, then I'm going to extend both legs up and towards the ceiling. Imagine to be putting the soles of your feet up on the ceiling above the hips. It doesn't matter if the legs don't go straight as far as I'm trying. So feeling that strong tension coming from the front of the thigh to help me extend the knee. That strong tension coming down the shins, helping me to flex the feet. Using the hands at the back of the legs if you feel that the hips are very tight, so the legs tend to drop down, so it starts loading into the back. So keeping them up high above the hips, allowing them to lengthen with the breath, and notice the position of the legs. Do they look the same? Is the right slightly further out than the left? Are the feet flexing the same amount? Is my big toe going further than the little toe? So is the foot rolling in or rolling out? See if I can encourage a nice even pull that down. Just trying to hold that legs as symmetric as possible, one next to the other. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the feet all the way back down, giving the legs a little walk, releasing the hips, releasing the legs, and then focusing on the shoulders, focusing on the arms, keeping the knees bent, straightening the legs, whichever way works best. I'm going to extend the arms up and towards the ceiling, locking the arms nice and straight in front of you, feeling the tricep, the back of the arm tensing to lock the elbow joint, the hand reaching away from the wrist and the fingers reaching away from the hands. And then keeping the arms locked and strong, I'm going to start taking them behind. It doesn't matter if they don't go very far, just to see if you can be aware of moving from your shoulder, not from your back. So it's not the back that is arching, that is taking the arm further. It's not my shoulders shrugging to my ears, shrugging to my head. It's not my elbows bending. So see if I can be aware, how far can I take the arms without bending the elbows? How far can I take the arms without arching my back away from the ground, without shrugging my shoulders up to my head, up to my ears? And then maintaining the arms locked and stronger behind, making sure that you're not letting the hands touch the floor. If the hands touch the floor, the arms tend to become lazy. They tend to rest there. See if we can keep them active. 3, 2, 1. Returning the arms all the way back by the side, relaxing the shoulders. I'm going to try one more time, but this time I'm going to combine the arms and the legs together. So setting up into a leg up the wall. So curling the knees back up into the chest, extending the arms up and towards the ceiling. With the heels of the feet, I'm trying to reach up and towards the ceiling. With the fingertips, I'm trying to stretch to the back of the room, to the back wall. Locking the arms, locking the legs, extending through the knees as much as I possibly can, just making sure that the legs are staying up above the hips, so they're not dropping down, so it's absolutely no load into the lower back. 5, lengthening through the heels of the feet. 4, think of your fingertips are pulling away from your hands. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Returning the feet back down, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the hips. There's a little bit more activation to that front line. I'm going to try and see if I can use that to encourage more movement into the hip joint, then gradually getting into the hamstrings and through the inner thigh. So curling the right knee into the chest, hooking the hands around that right knee, behind the knee if I feel that my knee's too stiff or it's just too painful to hold there. I'm going to gently pull the leg towards me, think of flexing, think of closing the hip joint. So I'm trying to close my hip joint as much as I can. Hip replacement, you'll be limited in the range of movement. No matter if it's a hip replacement or not, just making sure that you're not forcing. So as the leg comes towards you, try to reach that end range and then just wait there. If the leg is ready to go deeper, it'll come closer. If it's not, it will stay there. Walking that left leg away from you. At the same time as you're holding the right into the chest, as if you can lengthen the left away along the mat. Flexing the foot, pulling the toes up and towards you, pressing the back of the left calf down into the ground. So think of nice and long reach down the front of that left hip, and then a nice long pull coming around the back of the right. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the leg, releasing the hip. I'm going to try exactly the same thing with the left side. So curling that left knee up into the chest, starting with the right knee bent to begin with. I'm going to bring that left leg as close to the body as possible. Same as before, making sure that I'm not forcing anything. If I can feel that something is catching in the hip or the groin, most of the time it's just the bulk of the quad muscle, of the thigh muscle. Just trying to roll it out to the side, out of the way, see if you can create a little bit more space, and the leg might actually be able to move even closer. Once that left is as close as it can get, then extending the right away along the floor. See if you can, same as on the other side, flex the foot, pressing the back of the calf down into the ground. So actively opening the front of the right hip and then stretching into the back of that left hip. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the leg, releasing the hip. There's a little bit more movement into the hip joint. I'm going to get into the back of the leg. So grabbing hold of your belt, your strap, your band, whichever one you've managed to get. And then setting the strap around the ball of the foot. Reason being, if it's around the ball of the foot, as I pull down, it's going to encourage a little bit more stretch through the back of the calf. If it's too far down into the heel of the foot, then I can't really pull, or the band is useless to help me with the foot. So see if I can try and keep it around the ball of the foot as much as I can. I'm going to straighten up the right leg without pulling it towards me, just making sure that the knee is able to extend. left leg, I'm going to anchor it down, so grounding the left leg, flexing the foot to pressing the back of that left leg down into the ground, making sure that the bum doesn't start lifting up in the air. And then when you're ready, just gently drawing that right leg up and towards you until you can feel the traction, the tension going from the seat bone up through the back of the leg, back of the knee, into the back of the calf, all the way into the heel of the foot. If I'm flexible enough to get quite close to the foot so I can actually reach and grab hold of it, then the band is not used to me, as I can hold on to the foot. If I find that I'm a little bit too far, then I'm just going to keep holding on to the band. Just making sure that to bring the leg closer, you're not letting the knee buckle. So the knee's not suddenly bending and giving way, the leg is still straight. The bum is still down on the ground, the left leg is still pressing down onto the mat. On the exhale, that's when I'm trying to go a little bit deeper. On the inhale, I'm just going to hold and wait for the back of the leg to get used to the pull, and then I might be able to bring it a little bit closer. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the foot, holding the strap with your right hand only. Let the left arm come out to the side to help you counterbalance, and then these down, taking the stretcher through the inside of the leg. I'm going to start opening that leg out to the right, still pulling it towards you. Think of the direction of the pull. Imagine to be able to kick your right foot behind your right shoulder, as the tendency is to let go of the leg and then just let it drop down. The left side of my bum is lifted off the ground. I don't feel absolutely anything in my hip, in my leg. So see if I can keep the traction into the back of the leg, and then at the same time see if I can find the pull through the inner thigh, the hip and the groin. The left hip, the left leg still pressing hard into the ground. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the foot, releasing the leg, giving the leg a little walk, giving the leg a little shake. I'm going to repeat exactly the same thing on the left side. So setting the strap around that left foot, the same as you did on the other leg. And trying as much as you can to keep it around the ball of the foot. I'm going to extend the right leg away along the floor, and then grounding the right leg, pressing it down into the ground, encouraging the hips to stay down. Straightening up the left leg, same as before, making sure that the knee's not bending, no hyperextending, so I'm not bending it backwards. And then I'm going to gently start easing that left leg towards me. Same as I did on the right side. If I'm close enough to the foot to grab hold, then I'm going to hold on to the foot, let go of the band. If I'm a bit too far, I'm just going to stay on the band, allowing the leg a little bit more time to get used to the pull. Let's see if I can use the breath to relax that leg closer to the body. The right is still pressing down. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Holding the strap, holding the foot with the left hand only, opening the right arm out to the side to counterbalance. And then same as I did on the right side, I'm going to start opening that left leg out to the left. Still pulling it up and towards me. Imagine with the foot to be kicking somewhere behind that left shoulder. The right leg is still pressing down, so making sure that my hips are not turning to the side. It's just the left leg that is moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and ease easing back. Releasing the leg, releasing the foot, giving the leg a little walk, a little shake, just a little bit more range through the inner thigh and the back of the leg. I'm going to try and work into the side of the leg and then start getting into the back too. Bending the knees, walking the feet up and towards you. Feet and knees are nice and close together. Opening the arms out to the side, turning the palms to face up and towards the ceiling. I'm going to start twisting over to the right, so taking both legs over to the right. Notice the left leg. If I let the left leg slide down, the only thing that I'm doing is just flopping the legs off to the side. I want the hips to rotate, I want the back to rotate. So keeping that left leg directly on top of the right as you're turning over to the side, as if you can be aware of the hips moving, the back rotating through. The left is still pressing on the right, the left shoulder still down on the ground, so I'm not turning the all of the body, I'm just trying to turn the hips. Think of the position. Does it feel as if you're twisting to the side, or does it feel as if you're arching to the side? As the tendency, if the back is stiff, is to arch the way out to the side. So see if you can think of the rib cage staying down, softening through the front of the rib cage, relaxing into the back of the rib cage, and then just allowing the hips to settle, the legs to relax. 3, 2, 1. Easing the legs all the way back to the middle, adjusting the hips if you need to, and then I'm going to do the same thing but over to the left side. So the right leg stays directly on top of the left as I'm twisting to the left. The right shoulder stays on the ground, noticing, making sure that the movement is a twist, is a rotation, not an extension, so not an arching. So the rib cage is still comfortably down, nice and soft, the chest is not suddenly popping up, moving closer to your face or to your head. 3, 2, 1, and easing back, returning the hips of the legs back to the middle. I'm going to see if I can make the twist a little bit stronger, see if I can get a little bit more stretched down the side of the hip too. So this time I'm going to extend the right leg away along the floor, curling that left knee up into the chest, and then shuffling the hips slightly to the left so that I'm ready to roll onto the right side of the hip. As the left leg starts reaching across and then over to the other side, see if you can shuffle the hips, shuffle the bum directly underneath, so encouraging a deeper rotation through. And then with that left leg, see if I can drop down closer to the floor, using that right hand to encourage the knee to drop, making sure that I'm not fighting it, I'm just encouraging it. And then checking that the left shoulder is still sitting on the mat, it's not lifting away, so the rib cage is staying, it's just the hips that are moving. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back, returning the hips, returning the legs, shuffling the hips back to the middle. I'm going to do the same thing to the other side, just extending the left leg away along the floor, curling the right knee up and towards the chest, and then same as on the other side, I'm going to shuffle the hips to the right, see if I can start rolling onto that left side of the hip already. So as the leg comes across, I can feel that the hips can rotate a little bit further, encouraging the weight of the leg to pull me down, or the left hand gently pressing into the leg to bring it down and towards the ground, making sure that the right shoulder still sits on the floor, it's not lifting away, You're not turning the whole of the body. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the twist, releasing the leg, centering the hips back. So there's a little bit more movement through the hips, there's some movement into the back too. I'm going to bring it to the front of the hips and then still working into the back. So this time, walking the feet nice and close to the hips, not too touch but close enough. Lining up the heels of the feet to your C-bones so the legs are not too wide or too close together. And then pushing down through the soles of the feet, I'm going to drive my way up into a lift. Imagine it possible to be driving your thighs up so high that they're nice and level with the floor. The back of the hips or the back of the legs actively working to create that lift, making sure that no matter how small or big the lift is, there is no pain in the back, there is no weight going into the head. So I'm not pushing backwards into the head, crushing the back of the head and the back of the neck, as if I can just trying to lift my way up and towards the ceiling. 5, lengthening through the hips, reaching away with the thighs. 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Hugging the knees to the chest, releasing the lower back and the back of the hips. So it's a little bit more opening through the front of the hips too. I'm going to change the load slightly. It's rolling over onto your side and in your own time pushing yourself up into sitting. Setting up into your Dandasana, setting up into your staff pose. Shuffling the seat bones down into the mat and moving the fleshy bit of the bum away if you need to. And then what I want is for my legs and my back to be straight. So if the hamstrings are tight, as I straighten up the legs, they will pull on the back, so they will pull me down. I want the two to work together. So if I need to, I'm just going to give myself a little bit more space. So raising myself up onto a block or a couple of blocks so that I can straighten up the legs and straighten up the back at the same time. Once that you feel that you've got that nice sharp 90-degree angle, then focus on the legs first, flexing the feet, pulling the toes up and towards you. See if I can create that nice stronger pull coming up through the front of the thighs of both legs. The hands are down by the side of the hips. I'm going to press down into the palm of the hands and then lengthening my way through. See if you can try and lift from the base of the spine all the way up to the top. The shoulders are down, the neck is nice and long. Each exhalation, imagine the head to be reaching further up into the lift, the heels of the feet to be reaching further down along the mat. Flexing the feet, pulling them up and towards you. Same as you did with the legs are going up towards the ceiling, legs out the wall. See if you can notice any difference between the right and the left leg, between the right and the left foot. See if I can try and pull them evenly, see if I can try and reach them evenly away. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Relaxing the legs and releasing the hips. Again, it's a little bit more activation through the front of the body into seated position. I'm going to try and work through the hips into the legs again. Bending the right knee, bring the right foot up and towards you. I'm going to reach my right hand to the foot, 2 fingers around the big toe, holding the side, the inside of the foot, whichever way works easier for you. Once that I've got hold of the foot, I'm going to lift it up. And then driving the foot away, I'm going to extend the leg as much as I can. I might be able to get it straight, I might not be able to go quite straight. It doesn't matter, I'm trying. So I'm going to kick that leg away. As the leg kicks away, I'll pull that right shoulder forward, so it'll encourage already a little bit of a rotation through the upper body. With that Left arm I'm going to lift up and towards the ceiling, encouraging even more of a lift there. And then once that I've got that lift, I'm just going to take that arm behind me. With the fingertips are trying to reach to the back of the room. See if you can be aware of that left shoulder. Can you make sure that the left shoulder is not twisted, so the arm is not suddenly wedged into the side of the head, side of the face. See if I can try and find the position that allows the shoulder to drop, the neck and the shoulders to stay relaxed. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Returning the arm back to the front, I'm going to switch the grip on the foot, so holding it with that left, letting go with the right. And kicking the leg away, allowing that left shoulder to move forward, so this time I'll be twisting, I'll be rotating to the other side. Raising the right arm up and towards the ceiling, encouraging a little bit more lift through the back, and then once that I feel that I can't go any further, then opening that right arm out to the back, see if I can square my rib cage to that side of the room, encouraging a gentle stretch around that right hip, and then same as you did on the other side, just be aware of that right shoulder. See if you can find a nice loose opening position that is not twisting the shoulder, that is not suddenly hitching the shoulder up to the head. So see if I can try and make it as easy, as loose as possible. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the arm, releasing the legs, relaxing the shoulders. I'm going to try exactly the same thing on the left side. So bending the left knee, bringing the left foot up and towards you. I'm going to reach with my left hand to that left foot. So easy twist first. Actively pressing down with the right leg, I'm going to lift the left foot off the ground and then kicking the left leg away, lengthening through as much as I can, allowing that left shoulder to be pulled forward by the leg. And then finding the seat bones, raising the right arm up and towards the ceiling, see if I can lift my way up high, taking that right arm behind, opening out to the right. Playing with the position of the right shoulder again. See if you can find that loose position on the shoulder, that nice relaxed position through the neck. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Easing all the way back. Switching the grip onto the foot. The right hand goes around the foot. Kicking that leg away. Allowing the right shoulder to be pulled forward. Left arm up and towards the ceiling. More lift into the back. Opening around to the left. See if you can square the rib cage to that side of the room, as if you're trying to put your chest flat on the wall. And then looking after that left shoulder, making sure that the arm is not dropping, the shoulder is not coming forward, the body is not suddenly curling and hunching. See if I can try and lift and open it. 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Easing that leg all the way back down, relaxing the shoulders, releasing the hips. So it's a little bit more movement through the legs. I'm going to see if I can get a little bit more opening through the inside of the leg, through the inner thigh. So setting up into wide leg angle, taking the legs out to the side. Trying to get the knees at least as wide as the shoulders. If I can go wider, I'll go wider. Then again, I'm going to find my seat bones, trying to pull myself right on top of the seat bones. And then exactly the same as you did in your Dandasana, into your staff pose. If I find that with the legs straight ahead, my hips are too tight, my hamstrings are too tight, so I feel that I'm going to fall backwards. It feels really uncomfortable to sit here. Then I'm just going to raise myself up onto the block, giving myself the little extra space so that I can straighten myself out. Knees and toes always pointing straight up at the ceiling. So making sure that the leg doesn't start internally rotating, twisting in. Then once that you're happy that the legs are set, giving a little nudge to the hips, the hands are behind you, rocking the hips forward to see if you can lift up from the lower back. And then focus on the movement happening into your hip joint. I want my hip to close, my chest to go down on the ground. So not my head that will just pull on the back. I want the stretcher to go into my inner thigh. So I'm going to start tipping my hips forward as if somebody's hands were behind my hips, pushing me forward, pushing me down. Walking the hands forward along the mat. See if you can make yourself longer into that space between the legs. See if I can get myself further and further along that space. And then it doesn't matter if your chest is on the floor or if you're actually sitting bolt upright, as far as you feel that the stretch is in the right place. I can feel it pulling through the inner thigh. I can feel that gentle release through the groin. I'm just going to hold it steady there. 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Walking the hands all the way back and towards the hips, giving the legs a little walk, giving the legs a little shake, and bringing the legs all the way back in. So there's a little bit more movement through the hips and some movement into the back too. I'm going to encourage a little bit more into the back. So this time, bending the knees, walking the feet up and towards you. I'm going to try and open up through the front of the hips and front of the thighs. So stepping the feet to about hips width apart, so lining up the heels of the feet with the seat bones. I'm going to set the hands behind the hips, fingers pointing towards the hips if the wrist allows me that. Turning the hands out if I find that feels better for my wrist. Coming up onto an open fist if I find that my wrist doesn't flex very well. I'm limited, I'm restricted. Once you're happy that the arms are set, then rolling the shoulders back, encouraging a nice opening and lifting into the front of the chest, pushing the ribcage, pushing the breastbone up and towards the ceiling, encouraging a nice extension into the upper back. If I feel comfortable enough and I can lower the weight through the arms, then pushing down through the soles of the feet, driving the hips up and towards the ceiling. See if you can turn yourself into a tabletop. Trying to bring the hips up level with the knees. Imagine your body like a table. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Releasing the pressure from the wrist, relaxing the arms, relaxing the shoulders, and then I'm going to try one more time. This time easing the pull on the shoulder, but see if I can make the body work a little bit harder in creating that lift. Instead of keeping the knees bent, I'm going to extend the legs away, so making myself longer. The arms are exactly the same position, fingers pointing in if possible. I'm going to roll the shoulders out of the way, squeeze the shoulder blades together, sending the ribcage up and towards the ceiling. And then this time pushing down through the heels of the feet. Imagine your feet going flat against the mat, squeezing with the back of the bum, the hips up into a lift. Think of a nice straight line going from your head all the way to your feet. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Releasing the wrists, releasing the shoulders, relaxing the arms. We're going to start putting some weight into the hips, into the legs, taking the legs up and around, coming up until you're on all fours. I'm going to step forward on the right foot, keeping the left behind. I'm going to keep both hands on the inside of that right leg, and then shuffling that left knee away. See if I can encourage that left hip to open up. The tendency if the hip is tight is for the knee to wanting to stay closed. Unfortunately that closes my hip too. So see if I can try and encourage the knee to go as far back as possible, just making sure that the right foot is still directly below that right knee, so I'm not going into a full split. I'm going to keep the hands on the inside of that right leg, and then with that left side of the bum I'm going to squeeze my hips down and towards the ground, lifting the chest up and towards the ceiling. Imagine it possible to be putting your chest on the wall in front of you. 5, 4, 3, 2. And if the hip feels loose enough, I feel that I can go a little bit deeper, then maintaining the hips where they are, so making sure that the bum doesn't shoot up in the air. See if I can actively start lifting that left knee off the ground, squeezing the hips down, trying to lift the knee up, encouraging a stronger opening into that left hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and easing back. Taking both legs behind, big toes come together, knees open up a little bit wider, pushing back into child, allowing the hips to close, the pelvis to reset, the back to relax, shoulders and arms to have a little rest. And then I'm going to do exactly the same thing to the other side. So pushing up onto hands and knees, this time I'm going to step forward with the left foot, leaving the right leg behind, shuffling the right knee away as far back as I feel that stretch coming down the front of the right hip. If I find that the pull of the back of the leg is too strong to allow me to get the stretch on the hip going, then allow that left foot to come back a little bit more, so giving the hamstrings a little bit more of a slack, allowing them to relax a little bit more, to stay quiet. Then both hands on the inside of that left leg. I'm going to push the hips down and towards the ground, and then lifting the breastbone up to the wall in front of you. See if you can picture your chest going flat against the wall, so creating traction above and below. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Then if you feel that you can go deeper, keeping the hips where they are, see if you can try and get the knee to pull away, trying to get a stronger opening into that right hip. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and releasing back. Pushing back into child, the big toes come together, knees open up a little bit wider, allowing the hips, allowing the legs, allowing the back to reset, to relax. Then as you're ready to release, I'm curling all the way back, taking the legs around to the side, bring them to the front, finding a comfortable seated position, crossing the legs, releasing through the hips. If you want to follow through, pick one of the standing routines. Otherwise, namaste. I hope to see you soon.